Hi, and welcome back to the Not Too Shabby Shop YouTube channel. This is Marla, and today I have an adorable birthday card using products from the April Box of the Month. The Box of the Month is available in the Not Too Shabby Shop right now. It is there until it's sold out. I will have it linked in the description box below. If you're not a subscriber, I would highly recommend that you subscribe, not only for the extra discount, but to make sure that you get your hands on one of the boxes each month. Here's a look at the products that I'm using. From the box, I have the Berry Sweet stamp set. This adorable stamp set comes with a boba tea, or it could be a strawberry milkshake. 3 strawberries, 5 sentiments, 2 accessory pieces, and then there is an exclamation point in there, as well as some sentiments. I'll be using the So Refreshing paper pad. It's a 6x6 paper pad. There are 24 double-sided designs, 4 of each design, some Hero Arts pigment ink, this Tim Holtz die, and then I'll be using Distress Oxide and peeled paint, festive berries, and tattered rose. I'll also be using the ephemera pieces from the So Refreshing and some Nuvo crystal drops. I'm going to color one of the strawberries. Ironically, it's not the strawberry that I use on my card today, but I pretty much colored them all the same way. I'm only going to color this one. I'm starting with the stem, and for this one I'm using my G markers. I usually start with my darkest marker and then I blend out. So I started with a G7, and then I blended a G5, and finally my highlight color will be a G3. I end up using the male strawberry and also the one up on top. If you're wondering what those two hearts are on the head of the strawberry, those are the adorable little sunglasses. So if you look on the left and the right side of the head, you can see the earpieces, and then in the center of the stem you'll see where there's that little bar that goes across your nose. So those are adorable sunglasses. I'm moving on to the strawberry, and I'm being very light-handed. So you'll notice that I'm using a very thin line of R29, which will be my darkest color. My highlight will be in the center, so I will blend from left to right. I'll blend that out with an R27 and then an R24. I'll leave plenty of white space. I thought I might want the strawberry to be just a little bit more pink, kind of like if you cut a strawberry in half and you saw the center, how the center is much lighter. But after coloring it, I decided that I wanted to go for a more vibrant red for my strawberries. So here I'm using an R22 for my highlight, and that's really pretty. I always go over my images twice, so I'll go over it a second time. This time I'm going to blend out my darker lines just a little bit more. So I've blended an R29, this is the R27, and then I'll go over the entire image. So all of that R22 is still going to be my lightest section, but I'm going over it with the R24 to give a little bit more of that deeper red to my strawberry. For these strawberries, I started with a very light hand and thought I might want to go with more of a white tone. I end up changing this out and adding the R22 to both the flower and to the cheeks, but for the one up above, I do go with the lighter colors, which are an R2 and an R0 for my flowers, and to just give it a little bit more of that white touch instead of the pink. Once we finish coloring, I will use my white gel pen. I'm going to add just a little bit of highlight, so I'm going to add some freckles to the cheeks. I'll deepen those whites in the eyes, and then I'll add some accents to the flower, and finally I'm going to add a couple of dots and a line to the left side of my strawberry. I did add the accents to each of my strawberries, and I pretty much colored them the same color. For the glasses on the strawberry above, I did use an R21 and 22, and then I went over it with some glossy accents, or those Nuvo crystal drops, just to add a little bit of shine. I wanted to talk about this background. So I do have a 4¼ by 5½ inch piece of cardstock. This is accent opaque white cardstock, and I have it on a sticky mat. So this is just one of those mats that you would use for either a Cricut or a Silhouette. I wanted to add some highlights. So I wanted to kind of give a spotlight to my strawberries. I thought that my strawberries would go more towards the middle of my card, and therefore I added the Tattered Rose, which is my lightest color. So if you add a light color with your ink blending, once you finish with everything, it's going to give a little bit of a highlight, and you're going to understand what I'm talking about in just a moment. So I started with Tattered Rose. I added a little bit of the Festive Berries and then the Peel Paint. My inspiration for the colors came from the paper pad. I'm going to intensify some of those colors. Now right here, when I went over the Tattered Rose the first time, I picked up some of that peeled paint, and therefore in between each color I do need to clean off my brush to make sure that I'm not dulling and contaminating the other areas where I'm using that Tattered Rose. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to add just a little bit more of the Festive Berry because I wanted to fill in the spots. Because this is Distress Oxide, of course I'm going to add water. I started by spritzing with my water bottle, and then for bigger droplets I like to put water in the palm of my hand and clap over my project. As I dry this, you'll notice that the color does dry back quite a bit. You can add some Distress Glaze over the top of this and you'd get that vibrancy back. I wasn't looking for that, so I chose not to do that on this project. Again, to add more highlights to my background, I have a finger dauber and I'm adding what looks like little polka dots all the way around my panel using that Hero Arts Unicorn White ink. As you can see, they did dry back, and now you can see how they blend into the background nicely. I'll use that Tim Holtz die. Now that die does not have an edge, which is one of the things that I love about these dies. So you can place them anywhere on your panel, partially place them, do some partial die cutting. I decided to go from corner to corner and add that diamond pattern, that distressed diamond pattern, and this is the paper that I'm going to put behind it. So the peeled paint matched beautifully with this green piece of cardstock that has leaves on it from the So Refreshing paper pad. I trimmed it down to 4¼ by 5½ inches. I'm adding some wet glue on the back of my distressed inked panel, and I'm just layering that over the top, and you can see how beautiful that turned out. Now it looks still a little bit like a hot mess, but fear not, watch what happens when I put the strawberries on. I'm going to attach this to a 4¼ by 5½ inch top folding card base. I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of my sentiment. My sentiment does come from the ephemera pack, and that sentiment says, "Sending sweet birthday wishes." While I'm adding that foam tape, I want to talk about those little tufts of grass. I wanted to ground my strawberries, but I didn't want to add a hillside per se onto my card. So I used a die that I had in my stash and I cut those little tufts out. I used some of the lighter green markers that I used on my strawberries. So on the girl with the glasses, I used more of the lighter, I think it's like a Y3 maybe, on those on the stem for that strawberry right there. And so I added that. I had to think about where I was going with that. I added that to my tufts of grass and then a little bit more of the darker green. I cut out my images using my Scan and Cut. You can see that it kind of skipped on the male. So I'm going to fix that by just concealing it and overlapping the female strawberry over the top of that part of the male strawberry. This is a cute little couple. And then I'm going to add the tufts of grass. I have an odd number. I like to do things in odd numbers. So I'll flank the left and the right side with 2 tufts of grass and add 1 to the center. And when I finish with that, that will complete my card for today. So I hope that you were able to find the inspiration hop. I will link Jamie's video where she shared the entire box of the month. If you missed that, you can also use the hashtag in her video to find all of the other inspirational videos, including one of mine. In that video, I share several cards using the ephemera and the paper pads. Here I'm showing you those spotlights. Now you can really see how those lighter spots are really helping to make those strawberries stand out. I love that bokeh effect from the white pigment ink, the tufts of grass that I'm able to brush up because I only glued them from the bottom, and then of course the glossy accents on the glasses. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, have a fabulous day.